When you partner with Axon, you immediately gain access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. We carry all major brands and sizes of tires and wheels. We specialize in large diameter wheels for large equipment. We have one of the largest OEM replacement wheel inventories in North America. Known for extreme flotation setups, duals, and triples, we have wheels for all makes and models of tractors, sprayers, combines, and grain carts. If we don't have the wheel in stock, we'll custom build, sandblast, and paint in-house. There isn't a more vast inventory in North America dedicated to helping dealers move more iron. With facilities on the West Coast and in the heart of the Midwest, leverage our 230,000 square feet of indoor inventory to solve any problem a grower may have. Move more iron with Axon.
Moving iron.
Got it.
All right. Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast Markets with Chip Nellinger. Chip is with Blue Reef Ag and Marketing out of Morton, Illinois. It's nice stuff to come on and talk about what's happening in the marketplace. So Chip, how you doing, bud?
Doing well, Casey. It's been a little while since we talked, but a lot going on.
A lot of stuff happening. So let's talk about the wheat market here real quick. We got some rains coming through the high plains and down through the Midwest, where some wheat really needed to drink. Might be too little too late, I guess, to talk about what's happening there. We got the grain corridor thing coming up again, which I think the key thing with that is, from what I read and what I understand, is if Erdogan gets reelected in Turkey, that probably will happen. If not, it's kind of hanging in the wind there. But Ukraine's also said, if you guys don't open that up, we got plenty of other ways we can get our grain out of the country, which I don't really know what that means. So I guess, Chip, a lot of stuff going on in the wheat market. I guess looking at the wheat market, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, Casey, I think you hit the nail on the head. I've told some people this here within the last week or 10 days. As much as this scares me, I think the fate of the entire grain market kind of rests on wheat. And, this wheat market trades on its own. It always has. For 30 years or more, the wheat is its own animal. It just trades differently. It's got a different mindset, different brain, different psychology, and it doesn't always make a lot of sense. Highly political. We grow wheat on every, other than Antarctica, basically everywhere in the world. And so it is a very world political crop. And I think you hit the nail on the head that the wheat market has obviously a lot going on right now. And I think it's the key to the entire market here. And, so much going on. First and foremost, you mentioned some rains coming through, some real dry areas, obviously beneficial for some spring crops. I think it's too little too late for the wheat. It's almost adding insult to injury. That thing's 2-year drought, basically, maybe longer. Struggled through the entire winter and early spring, couldn't buy a rain. And now the rain finally comes, but I think it's doing little, if anything, to the wheat crop. Talked to some producers kind of in that Texas Panhandle area. Got some great rain. It's helping some, the corn crop that just got planted, but I don't think it's doing anything to the wheat. I think it's dead. And I think the wheat market, the Kansas City wheat market might be tipping us off, right? It's holding together okay. It's set back with these rains. Anytime there's rain in the forecast or rain on the radar, it's hard for a market to go higher, and it's easy for a market to sell off, even if it's not doing anything. So once these rains clear out, you got the Kansas wheat tour that's starting here in about a week. And I think when you get boots on the ground in the field and checking some of these yields and the potential of some of these fields in Kansas, I think it's going to be a real wake up for the wheat market across the world. I think you look at the spreads and what the Kansas City wheat market has done. Essentially your record premium of the Kansas City wheat over Chicago, and the structure of this thing is the wheat market in Chicago, it has most of the world volume. Kansas City market is a much smaller market. It's more fundamentally and commercially driven, and the funds have a massive, basically a record short position built up in the Chicago market. So I think the way it could work out is you get the Kansas wheat tour going if it confirms what I think it's going to, and that is disastrous yields. I mean, worse probably than even what the market thinks. You get the Kansas City market continuing to rally. I think it's going to drag the Chicago with it because there has to be some relationship there. And as it drags the Chicago market higher, I think it'll spur the funds to come out of some shorts and produce a nice rally. Now, what confuses it even more is the things you're mentioning about Russia, the Black Sea, grain corridor agreement, this election in Turkey. Russia has seemed to have taken a page right out of the Chinese playbook. Probably got a lot of help. They probably were given the playbook by China, translated into Russian, so it would be even easier for them to understand. And so they're manipulating the market without question. They're playing this Black Sea agreement a little bit to their advantage. The Black Sea agreement in general is more advantageous to Russia than it is Ukraine because Russia uses the Black Sea to put their wheat out. They had a big wheat crop. They've got, maybe not, it's just a weird thing because stocks are fairly tight across the world, but right now, about the only person or only country that has exportable supplies is Russia. Ukraine has some, but so Russia's been, playing this thing masterfully. They've also hinted at, the potential that, well, maybe we might want to use some of our big wheat stocks that we're putting out to the rest of the world below market value. They're not even supposed to be trading in the world, right? No matter if it's wheat, crude oil.
Yeah.
But
exactly. Yeah.
We know how this goes, right?
Sure.
There's crude oil flowing everywhere in the world. There's wheat flowing there. There's everything that they have natural resources. They're still getting it out to the world, just at a discount, kind of on the black market. And, a wink, wink, nod, nod. We don't know. Oh, here's a ship of crude oil that, has someone else's flag on it, and we know where it came from. So Russia's kind of playing that political game too, and manipulating the market a little bit. It wouldn't shock me if eventually the Black Sea Agreement goes away. That would help put a little bit of a floor and some premium back in the wheat market. Or they agree to it, but then Russia says, you know what, we really need to keep some of these stocks internally, make sure we've got enough domestically so our wheat and flour prices don't go through the roof, hold some of that wheat off the world market, and there's a dollar rally right there. And then suddenly, Russia, once you're $1, $1.50 higher, they'll start slowly putting those intervention stocks back out on the market. So, like it or not, Russia is playing the Chinese playbook very well right now, and they're trying to manipulate as best they can the wheat market. And through all that, also part of the Chinese playbook, they play the futures market too. So it wouldn't shock me if some shell of a shell of a shell of a shell company is taking big positions in wheat on a daily basis. We get news that the Black Sea Agreement is back on. 48 hours later, it's back off. It's not going to happen. And you're seeing these massive moves in wheat. And try not to be a conspiracy guy, but it just wouldn't shock me that somewhere along the way the Putin regime is benefiting from these big moves in wheat, and because they can control the narrative and the news flow temporarily, and you see massive swings. At the heart of it, though, to be even more long-winded, Casey, you asked a question, and you could have went for a coffee and made a pod, and but I think at the heart of it, the wheat crop here in the United States, once we start harvest here, and it's going to be here sooner rather than later because of the drought. Something in the back of my head and my gut tells me that this wheat crop in the South, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, is going to be worse than expected, and it's still going to produce a rally. And if that happens to be on the heels of some sort of news out of Russia, Ukraine, Black Sea, you could get an explosive rally. And that's going to spill over. It's going to help the corn market, no matter what the crop size is. There's still spreads going on between, corn and beans, corn and wheat, probably wheat and beans to a lesser extent. And so beans, even though they're really not related to corn, wheat, or a feed grain, it's going to kind of affect that too. So as much as I shudder to say this, I think the wheat market going forward the next couple months, 2-3 months, really could be something that is the key to our entire grain market. And that's a scary position to be in when you're relying on the wheat market to kind of provide direction, because a lot of people have given the wheat market the nickname of Sybil. Do you remember that? Was that
Yeah.
9 personality
Right. Yeah.
crazy market. So
Yep. Let's hit on energy market here just real quick, and then we'll wrap it up here. But as you're looking at oil can't seem to get past 72, and it can't seem to get under 72 and can't get past 78. So when you're looking at that oil market right now with that kind of sloppy trade back and forth, what's that indicating to you, I guess?
Well, boy, you hit me with just enough caffeine, and it's really humid out today. We're going to get a storm. Something's happening in the tin foil, the metal plate in my head. Somewhere in the Biden administration, they probably didn't get the playbook from China and Russia, but they're building their own. So, you got this whole strategic reserve thing.
Right.
Inflation, obviously one of the major drivers of the entire inflation basket is energies. It's hard to get away from. A lot of people don't understand this. They understand if we want to drive somewhere, we got to go to the gas station, go to Casey's, fill her up. I hate that. I don't like paying that. But also everything else, from the clothes we wear, the shoes we wear, the stuff we put our leftovers in the fridge. You cannot escape crude oil and their energy markets. A lot of people don't understand that. Somewhere in the EPA or the administration at a high level, they understand that, hey, we've got a problem with inflation. And one of the big ways to tame this is let's keep energy costs lower. So we've got the strategic reserve that's supposed to be used for situations that we're threatened, like an invasion or war, that type situation. Let's use that, pump some crude oil out on the free market, and bring energy prices down. On the one hand, this big giant shell game, we'll tell people we're going to refill this thing. We know we need this for strategic purposes, not necessarily meaning to tame inflation so we can keep the current administration happy and, get the votes in our back pocket. So we'll tell people that, once crude oil dips, we're going to buy it on the world market, a futures market, take delivery, refill this strategic reserve. Sounds great. They've had 2 chances to have essentially the trade of a lifetime, like the best single trade ever in the history of markets since they started in the 1200s trading rice on forward contracts in Japan. Had 2 chances to do this. They started selling this stuff in the 80s. They could have bought it in the low 70s, and most recently we dipped under 70 into the 60s. So that kind of puts a floor under it, because the market has been told, hey, we get down to the low 70s, the U.S. government's going to come in and be the backstop, buy this thing, because they've sold all these hundreds of millions of barrels out of the strategic reserve. So we get a nice rally. We get a $10, $11 rally back up in the upper 70s. And then we come out and hear after the fact, hey, not only did we not make the trade of the lifetime, could have made billions upon billions of dollars for the U.S. taxpayer. We don't want to do that. We're not going to refill the reserve. We're actually going to put some more out on the market, because we got to keep inflation coming down. And so, again, highly political market, maybe slightly more political than the wheat market is the energy markets. That's my take on it, is that we're kind of caught and trapped now by the U.S. government. And are we going to refill the strategic reserve? Are we going to put more out? Right now, it looks like we're going to put more out. They're using it as a vote-getting mechanism. It's going to cap the market. But at the same time, all these things underneath it, OPEC's cutting, Chinese demand slowly fits and starts. They're kind of trying to prop their economy up. And what's going to happen is this thing's going to backfire, and we're going to have less of a supply here. We're not allowing drilling. OPEC's really going to be in charge. They always are. I don't think they currently like the U.S. administration much, if they ever have, no matter who's in there. And at the end of the day, we're going to wake up likely at some point in the very near future and see $90 crude oil again, and, and $5 gasoline. And it's going to be as a direct result of some of the actions out of Washington. So I think you're going to continue to see choppy stuff. Unfortunately, this still is very much tied to our grain markets because of, renewable diesel, ethanol, all the things that our agricultural markets are tied to the crude oil market specifically. So it's going to have a direct impact. I think that it's kind of a control mechanism. I think we're in a sweet spot. I think they know that, whoever that they is, could be Washington, it could be OPEC, combination. Somewhere here in the upper 60s to mid 70s probably is the spot they would like it to be. If we dip into the low 60s, upper 50s, it probably means there's a 2008 type general slowdown in the economy in the world. That's not a good thing. If we go up into the 80s, 90s, obviously that's going to kind of restart inflation, and nobody wants that. That's in current political power. So probably the sweet spot to me is, kind of where we've been trading in a very choppy range, upper 60s, low 70s. Everybody can kind of live there. Producers, consumers. It's probably not high enough for OPEC. It's probably not low enough for the consumer, guy filling up his tank, but it can probably be livable for everybody. And so I would kind of use that as 70 to 75 is kind of your sweet spot value zone. And you dip much below there, you probably start hearing some news stories to get it propped up. And if you get much up over 80, you're going to start hearing the opposite. The problem is it's a commodity, right? There's a supply and a demand. And whenever you try to manipulate a market, it always backfires eventually. You can't do it. You got to let free market forces work. And the more you try to manipulate a market, the more it's going to blow up in your face eventually. So when you're controlling the supply, especially when you have OPEC, who aren't really friendly to anyone but themselves, and they have the biggest power over the supply, the risk I see going forward over the next 12 months is higher. It's probably good for the farmer, right? $90 crude oil gets ethanol cranking and renewable diesel cranking.
Right.
But that's not very good for the consumer. And I'm afraid that's where the risk is not $50. It's more like $90.
Right. Yep. All right, Chip. Good stuff as usual, folks.
Casey, I'm telling you, I've had too much caffeine today. I apologize. You asked me 2 questions. You usually ask me a bunch of questions. I'm just long-winded, and man, it's something's in the air, man.
They were good. They were good answers, though, Chip. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that. I probably just got on. If you're going to put this out to the public, I've got probably on about 19 more lists than I started an hour ago, and I was already on a few.
You and me both, so that'll be fine. So,
hey, let's get on some together.
That's right. There we go. Have a party that way.
As long as it's not the no-fly list. I don't want on that one.
I need to be on that one. Yeah, I don't want to be on that one. All right, man. Well, appreciate you being on the podcast, Chip.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Casey.
Folks want to reach out to you. What's the best way to do it?
Yeah, best way is just call our office, 309-550-7213. Love chatting with people about the markets and their risk management plan and just in general. So don't hesitate to give us a call.
Right on, man. I am Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Moving Iron LLC, LinkedIn at Moving Iron Podcast, and go to the YouTube channel to see the video version of this at the Moving Iron Podcast YouTube channel. So check that out. Go Moving Iron Summit's coming up here in Nashville, Tennessee, September 11th through the 13th. Be one of the first 150 people to register for that, and you'll get a $50 discount from the good folks over at Axon. So for everything Moving Iron related, go to movingironllc.com, and you can find all the information for all the stuff I just talked about there. So with that, I'm Casey Seymour with Chip Nellinger. Smooth Smart, folks. Out.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hardworking people working hard for you and me. Moving iron, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving iron.